Hello everyone, I am back with the fourth video of the video series on Class 6 Maths Knowing Your Numbers, and in this video we are going to learn about Roman numerals. So let's get started. So now that we have learned so much about different numbers, the larger numbers, smaller numbers, how to name them, how to find their positions, how to find the positions of digits in a number. So we have learned a lot about numbers. So now it's time to talk about something little different. Now we have been learning about the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is basically the Hindu-Arabic system. So here we will talk about numbers, but which are Roman numbers. So these numbers came from the Romans in the ancient times, and they were very widely used during those times, but now they are not that widely used, but still we use them even now. So we will learn about Roman numerals. So where do we see Roman numerals? Clock or even your watch. So have you ever seen 1, 2, 3, 4 written in this fashion? So this is not how we write 1, 2, 3, 4. We write 1 like this, we write 2 like this, we write 3 like this, 4, 5, 6 and so on. But in the clocks, you generally see them written like this. So these are nothing but Roman numerals. So basically, this is the way 1, 2, 3, 4 is written in the Roman system. Or if you look at your textbooks, so on your textbooks you would see that class 10th is not written like this. Instead of 10, it is written like this. So this is also the Roman number. Many times in your textbooks or in your notebooks, you see that whenever something is written in points, so those points are also not written as 1, 2, 3, 4. They are written in Roman numbers. So these are some of the places where you actually witness Roman numbers. So now we will spend some time learning what are these Roman numbers and how do we write 1, 2, 3, 4 in Roman numerals. Now these numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all these what we study is the Hindu-Arabic system. So this is the Hindu-Arabic system. But one of the early systems of writing numbers was the Roman system. So here the numbers are not represented like how we represent it in the Hindu-Arabic system. Instead, the numbers are represented by combination of letters of the Latin alphabet. Like how we have our English alphabet A, B, C, D. So similarly, the letters from the Latin alphabet were taken and those letters were used to represent these numbers. Now, their use continued even after the decline of the Roman Empire. But from 14th century onwards, Roman numerals gradually began to be replaced by the Hindu-Arabic numerals. That is the 1, 2, 3, 4 which we study now. But even today, there are minor applications of the Roman numerals that still exist. Like I told you, the watches, the clocks, there we still see the Roman numbers being used. So here on the screen, you can see that for every number, like 1, you have a representation in the Roman system. And these representations are basically combination of the alphabet. So you see this is like capital I and this is like a capital V. This is like a capital X. So basically the letters of the alphabet are the combination of the letters of the alphabet are used to represent the numbers. So this is how we represent the first 10 numbers. So for 1, we write it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. So what are we going to learn in this section is how do we write? Is it that we need to memorize how to write each number in the Roman system? No. There are certain rules by which we can write any number in Roman system. Let's say if I give you a number like 500, you can write it in the Roman system. If I ask you to write 93, you should be able to write it in the Roman system. So we will learn how to read and write the Roman numerals. So here on this slide, we will look at some of the important Roman numerals. Now, once you know these Roman numerals, you'll be able to write all other numbers using these. Just that you should know the rules, how to write them. Now, these important numerals are 1, which is written like this with one capital I, that's 1. 5, which is written by a capital V. 10, which is a capital X. 50, which is written by a capital L. 100 is a capital C. 500 is a capital D. And 1000 is a capital M. So you see, these are all English alphabets which are used to denote these numbers 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, 500 and 1000. So now have a look at this very carefully. You need to remember these important numerals. So once you remember these, it will be very easy for you to write any other number you want to. So now we will be discussing about the rules. Rule number 1. If a symbol is repeated, its value is added as many times as it occurs. For example, how do we write 1? So 1 is written by a capital I like this. Now if we repeat this symbol twice, that means this actually means 1 plus 1. So this is how we write 2. If we repeat this symbol for 3 times, then this becomes 3 because it is 1 plus 1 plus 1. So if the same symbol is repeated multiple times, so that symbol gets added that many times. For example, how do we write 10? We write it as capital X. Now if I write XX, what would it mean? This X is 10, this X is also 10. So 10 plus 10, that is 20. So this is how we write 20. Similarly, if we write XXX, that would mean 10 plus 10 plus 10, that is 30. Right? So this is what it means, that if you want to write such numbers which is like sum of other numbers, so you can just repeat that particular symbol as many times as you want. So do you think that you can repeat this symbol as many times as you want? Let's say, how would you write a 4? So do you think that you can write a 4 like this? That is, you can repeat this symbol for 4 times? You can't. Do you know why? That's because the rule number 2 says that a symbol is not repeated for more than 3 times. So 3 times is the maximum number of times you can repeat any symbol. So you cannot write 4 like this. You cannot write 40 like this. You cannot do it because they do not follow rule number 2. So any symbol can be repeated only up to 3 times. Now, is it that all symbols can be repeated? No. So there also we have certain limitation. For example, do you think that if you want to write 10, so can you write 10 as VV? Because this is 5, this is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. We cannot write this because these symbols V, L and D, they can never be repeated. So you can never have something like this or something like this. You can never have these kind of symbols. Right? So these are the first 3 basic rules about repetition of the symbol. Because by repetition of symbol, we can write the Roman numbers for a lot of numbers. Let's look at the next rule, which says that a symbol of smaller value written to the right of a symbol of greater value, its value gets added to the value of the greater symbol. Now, let us try to understand it very carefully. Now, let us say you have a symbol of a greater value. For example, this. What is this symbol for? This is a symbol of, this represents a number of greater value. That is, let's say this represents number 5. Now, if we write a symbol of smaller value to the right of the symbol of greater value. So, this is the symbol of greater value. Let's say we write a symbol of smaller value. So, this is a symbol of smaller value. What is its value? This represents 1. So if you write a smaller value symbol to the right of the greater value symbol, then what happens? The value gets added. So this represents 5, this represents 1. So their value gets added. So basically this symbol represents 6. Now similarly, let us try it for other examples. Now let's say if I write this symbol if I write 1, if I write another 1. So what am I doing? Basically symbol of smaller value. This is 2, right? So 2 is written after 5. So this will get added up. So it will be 5 plus 2, that is 7. Similarly, if we write it like this, so again this is 3 and this is 5. So if you write a symbol of smaller value on the right of a symbol of greater value, they get added, so it becomes 8. So this is how you represent 8. So you see, we gradually learned how you can write 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. Let's look at the next rule. It says that a symbol of smaller value written to the left of a symbol of greater value, its value is subtracted from the value of the greater symbol. Now let us suppose that instead of being written like this, if the symbol of greater value is like this and the symbol of smaller value is written on the left side like this, then what would happen? Now this represents 5 and this represents 1. So in this case, the value gets subtracted. That means this becomes 5 minus 1, that is 4. So this is how we represent 4 in Roman numerals. Now in a similar way, we can write it for other numbers. For example, how would you write 14? So that's one good example. So what is 14? 14 is nothing but 10 plus 4. So let us look at some examples based upon these two rules. So 14 would be 10 plus 4, right? So how do we write 10? 10 is written like this. Now you want to add 4. So that means you will have to write 4 on the right hand side of 10. So this is how we write 4. So this becomes 14. Similarly, let us say you want to write in Roman numeral 40. So what is 40? 40 is 50 minus 10. Right? We already know how do we represent 50. 50 is represented by a capital L. So we want to subtract 10 from 50. So subtraction, therefore we have to write it on the left hand side. 10 is X. So XL is how we represent 40. So this is how we can represent any number in its Roman numeral. Let us look at the next rule. Symbols V, L and D are never written to the left of a symbol of greater value. So that means these three are again exceptions where they cannot be written to the left of any symbol of greater value. For example, let us say that you want to represent the number 35, right? So 35, you can write it in two ways. You can either write it as 40 minus 5 or you can write it as 30 plus 5. Now, how do we know which one to choose? So, because if you write it as 40 minus 5, then how the symbol would be? What is 40? So, just now we wrote that this is 40, right? And what is 30? So, this is how we write 30. So if we write it in this form, in that case we have to write 5 on the left hand side of this. So that means basically you will have to write V here. So that is how it will be 40 minus 5. And in this case, if you want to write 30 plus 5, so you will have to write 5 on the right hand side of this. Now this is a confusion. You might ask, so which is correct? This is correct for 35 or this is correct? So that is why this rule is seen. So it says that symbols like V can never be written on left side of a symbol. So that means it cannot be written on the left of X. So this is not correct and this is the correct way of representing 35. So these are also certain rules that need to be remembered. Now let us yet again look at another example. So let us suppose you want to write down 450 in Roman numbers. Now 450 again can be written in two ways. One is 500 minus 50 or 400 plus 50. So if you write it as 500 minus 50, how do we represent 500? 500 is represented as D. And how do we represent 50? 50 is represented as L. So you will have to write L before D, which is not allowed. So that's why we will represent it as 400 plus 50. So how do we write 400? So 400 is basically 500 minus 100, right? So 500 is D minus 100 is C. So basically 400 can be written as CD, and what is 50? 50 is L. So L will be written on the right hand side. So this is the correct Roman number for 450. The next rule says that symbol I can be subtracted from V and X only. So this is also important, that you cannot subtract I from any other symbol. For example, how do we write 9? So when we have to write 9, we say it is 10 minus 1. So we write it like this. Now let us suppose you have to write 19. Now 19 can be 20 minus 1, or it can also be 10 plus 9. So if you write it as 20 minus 1, then it would be like something like this, because this is 20 minus 1. Or if you want to write it as 10 plus 9, then it would be something like this. This is 10, and on the right hand side you have 9. Now which one is correct? Now as per this rule, I can be subtracted from V and X only. So I can be subtracted from X, so this is true, but I cannot be subtracted from XX, because here it is 2 times X, so it cannot be subtracted from this. Therefore this is the right way of writing 19. Similarly, let us try it for number 4. So how do you write 4? 4 is 5 minus 1. So it is written like this. Now, can you tell me how would you write 34? So 34 again can be written as 30 plus 4, or it can be written as 40 minus 6. So if you write it as 30 plus 4, so 30 is triple X and 4 is like this. And if you write it as 40 minus 6, 40 is XL. And minus 6, that means you'll have to write 6 on this side. But again, this doesn't follow this rule, because I is subtracted from XL, whereas I can be subtracted only from X or only from V. So X or V should not be repeated, X or V should not have anything else. So that means this is incorrect, and this is the right way of writing 34. Let us now look at the last rule, which says symbol X can be subtracted from L, M and C only. So for X also we have certain limitations. So let us look at this example. How do you write 40? So we write 40 as XL, that is 50 minus 10. Now just think, how would you write 54? Now that's what we have discussed, that 54 can be written as 50 plus 4. It can also be written as 60 minus 6. But then again, if you write it as 60 minus 6, you will see that this X is present before multiple L, M or C's. So that is why 50 plus 4 is written as something like this, and this is the right way of writing 54. And that is why you can never have any Roman number which is something like this or this or this or this or this, because in each of these you see X is present before Li or Liv or Mi, Ci, Cd and so on. So these are all not possible, because X can occur only before L, M and C. So only L should be there, only then it can occur. So based on whatever we have studied, let us try to write these numbers in Roman numerals. 12. So how would you write 12? This would be 10 plus 2. How do you write 10? This is 10 plus 2. Now once you arrive at this symbol, just make sure that all the rules are followed. None of the rules are ignored. 55. So 55 can be written as 50 plus 5. So 50 is L, 5 is V. So this is how 55. 73. So that can be written as 70 plus 3. So 70. What is 70? 70 is 50 plus 20. So basically 50 is L, 20 would be XX and 3 would be 1, 2, 3. So this is how you can write 73. So let's look at few more numbers. 121. So 121 can be written as 100 plus 21. Now this 100 plus 21 can be written as 100 plus 20 plus 1. So what is 100? 100 is C, 20 is XX and 1 is I. So this is 121. 501. So this can be written as 500 plus 1. So what is 500? It is D and 1 is I. So DI is 501. 103. So 103 can be written as 100 plus 3. So 100 is C, 3 is 1, 2, 3. 1569. This can be written as 1000 plus 500 plus 60 plus 9. What have I actually done? I have actually expanded this number. So 1 is at the thousands place, so 1 is multiplied by 1000. 5 is at the hundreds place, so it is multiplied by 100. 6 is at the tens place, so multiplied by 10. And 9 is at the units place, therefore it is multiplied by 1. So 1000 is represented by capital M. So you want to add 500 to it, therefore you write D on the right hand side. You want to add 60 to it. Now what will be 60? So 60 is nothing but 50 plus 10. So 50 is basically L and 10 would be X. And now you want to add 9 to it. So 9 is IX. So this would be 1569. So let us look at yet another example of say 390. So how would you write it in Roman numbers? So 390 can be written as 400 minus 10 because it is closer to 400. So 400 minus 10, or you can also write it as 300 plus 90. Now let's see which one would be a better option. Now 400 minus 10. So 400 is written as CD because D is 500 and C is 100. So 500 minus 100. So that is 400 minus 10. So that means X to be written on the left hand side. So this is one option. The other option is 300 plus 90. Now how do we write 300? 300 is 100 plus 100 plus 100. So it will be CCC, that is 300 plus 90. How do we write 90? 90 is 100 minus 10. So this is how we write 90. So 90 is written on right hand side of 300. So that is another way. So do you think we can write it like this? We can't, because as per the last rule, we learned that X can occur before C only. It cannot occur before C and D. So this is not the right way. So the right way of writing 390 is this. So in this fashion, we can write any number in the Roman system. So all you need to remember is the important symbols like 1, 10, 50, 100, 500. So these you need to remember, and once you remember these and the rules, I'm sure you'll be able to write any number in its Roman form. So with this, we have reached towards the end of this lesson where we have learned a lot about numbers. We have learned how to deal with larger numbers, how to name larger numbers, how to write them in appropriate way, how to estimate their sum, product and difference, and also about Roman numerals. So practice a lot of questions, focus on the concepts, try to understand and then solve questions. So I hope that this lesson would have helped you. See you all.
I hope you found this video useful. In fact, I hope that you found this entire video series on Class 6 Maths, Knowing Your Numbers useful. If you liked the videos, please do share it with your friends. And if you have a feedback for us, do let us know in the comment section. We will be more than happy to hear from you. I will see you guys very soon with a new video with a new topic. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.